Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to the newest episode of the Serious Film Critics. We are the Serious Film Critics. My name is Sam.
I'm David.
And I'm Chris.
How's it going, boys? Good to see you tonight.
Pretty good.
Doing well?
Yeah, it's going pretty good. We got Blade 2 on in the background here.
Yeah, it's a good night tonight. We're watching Blade 2 on mute in the background. We have our dear friend, Butler, subbing in today.
Glad to be on the show.
Get used to it, everybody. You're going to be seeing or hearing a lot more of him in the future. So we're happy to have him here today. Everyone's doing well. Just made a Wawa run and ready to knock this episode out. So we got a lot of good stuff to cover today. We're going to be reviewing the Gaspar Noé film from, I believe it's 2009, Enter the Void. That is a doozy, ladies and gentlemen, so be ready for that. We're also going to be talking about some news, and we're going to be doing some Who Would Wins. So stay tuned. It's going to be an action-packed episode. So firstly, we can kick this thing off. You guys been watching anything good lately on the television or movie land?
I've been watching this show. What's it called? Flaked?
Flaked?
Yeah, it's on Netflix original, and I'm watching it in French because I don't really care. I don't care about it because I just want to practice French with it. So now I have English subtitles on because I can't understand it. And basically, what I can tell, he's like, I don't know, he lives in Venice Beach.
Oh, okay.
And it's not really funny at all or that interesting.
Wait, is it a French show that's a Netflix?
No, it's an American show.
Oh, you're just watching.
But Netflix has every language for their originals.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to practice the language, it's a good idea to do a Netflix original. Like they have Mandarin Chinese and everything.
That's a pretty good idea, actually.
And so I just watched. First, I was watching it with French subtitles, and I got like maybe 20% of the plot. So now I have English subtitles, and I don't really. I guess he owns a furniture store in Venice Beach, and Stuff happens, yeah.
So I guess it's kind of a show that you don't
Wouldn't recommend it, but I also haven't watched it.
Wouldn't recommend it artistically, but if you need a learning tool for languages.
It's great for practicing languages because they have all the languages.
Is it better than Rosetta Stone?
Yeah. I mean, if you need content to consume in an obscure language, because they have 10 languages on there or something.
Oh, man, this is such a ridiculous scene from Blade 2.
Oh, he's fighting the ninjas.
He's fighting this ninja guy. This ninja guy is obviously influenced by, or this would influence Hellboy. You guys have seen Hellboy, right?
Yeah.
Remember that ninja guy that's in that? He looks a lot like this guy.
Yeah, this is Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro, yeah. Butler, you been watching anything good?
Not really. No, I haven't actually seen anything new in a while.
It's all good. I got something. I've been watching it for a while now, that show Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
I finally finished it, and I gotta say, that show is probably nearing my top 3 of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, that is a really, really good show. My holy trinity of shows has always been Seinfeld, number 1, and then
obviously,
and then Lost or Breaking Bad are right there with it. But this show is right, nipping on their heels. It is a really good show. Every season is strong, and I had never really followed Kyle Chandler much.
Yeah,
who plays the head football coach in the show, Eric Taylor, but he is phenomenal in this show. I'd seen him before. He's in Wolf of Wall Street. He's the FBI agent. He's good, and I always kind of liked him, but I never really followed his career. And watching this show makes me want to follow his career. I'm thinking about trying to watch that show Bloodline.
Yeah,
that he's in.
The second episode season just came out.
Yeah. I know that's on Netflix, and I know he's coming out with this movie Manchester by the Sea, which looks pretty good. But yeah, he's just phenomenal in every season of that show. I think I'm pretty sure he won the Emmy for it in his last season, but just a really good show. It has some sports stereotypes. I mentioned in an earlier episode. Their team is almost always making these crazy comebacks with 5 seconds left to go in the game. But it's just a really, really good show. Great characters, and highly recommend it. So check out Friday Night Lights. I won't give away anything else because don't want to spoil anything, but definitely a really good show. Anybody else?
I feel like I watched something, but I forgot what it was. So let's
just
move on.
I haven't watched many movies lately. I've been kind of busy just doing this play.
I've watched recently.
I saw The Nice Guys in theaters a while ago. That was really good.
Yeah,
I wrote a review for it, but yeah, that was good. Alrighty, well, and then we're watching Blade 2, so that counts for something.
Yeah.
So, right, we're gonna move on, and I guess what else is going on in the news today? We got the Copa America
that
tournament currently going
Team
on.
USA won their group, shockingly.
That is shocking.
And then what you said, Brazil just got knocked out?
Yeah, from where we're at right now, Brazil was just knocked out by Peru, so that is a massive upset, right?
Yeah, that's a huge upset.
Who does Peru even have? Do they have anybody good?
I know they have a decent team, but I don't know who they have. I think they've got some decent players.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess that pretty much clears the path for the USA until maybe Argentina.
Well,
not clears it, but I mean,
USA's had a hard road. I mean, they were in a weak group. Like they were
Yeah.
with Costa Rica and someone else, and Colombia, who came in second. They have a good team.
Oh yeah, Colombia's good too.
Uruguay got knocked out too, I think. So they were really good. They have
Suarez, right?
Yeah, and Suarez.
Yeah, they used to have Forlan. I know he's old now.
Oh yeah, he's as old as dirt now, probably.
Yeah.
And then there's Argentina, obviously. Mexico's pretty good. I'm hoping they don't get very far.
Yeah. Is it just Chicharito?
No, they have other good players. I think they have Dos Santos or whatever. They have a good team.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll be following that, but I don't know. USA's in the quarterfinals round, right?
Yeah, I think it's the quarterfinals next.
Are they
either the knockout round or the quarterfinals? It might be the same round. I don't know.
I don't know. Did Brazil, was it the knockout round was it the quarterfinals that Brazil just got knocked out of?
Maybe. I haven't followed closely at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously,
I mean, I know the group stage just ended, so it's very possible that was the quarterfinal that got knocked out of it.
Go Team USA. We'll see how that fares. All right, boys. I guess it's that magical time where we move on to
the main event.
To our main event here, and this is a doozy. Enter the Void it's a kaleidoscopic film directed by Gaspar Noé, and it is something. That's all I can say.
It's a French-Japanese production.
Right? Is it?
Yeah, I think so, because they filmed in Tokyo, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And all the crew was, like, Japanese.
Yeah, but the main actress, I think, was French,
yeah,
wasn't she?
Or American. I think that the two main the actor and the actress were American. But, yeah. So,
Dave, you want to lead us into this thing?
I'll try my best.
Hit us with your best shot.
Let me just give you, like, a plot synopsis without really... I don't want to get too much into what the movie is like yet. Basically, it opens up with our main character's Oscar. He's like a drug dealer in Tokyo, and he's like sitting in his apartment talking to his sister who lives with him about something. I don't remember what. She leaves, and he smokes some DMT. And they have a long sequence of just like some bright flashing lights and stuff, like what it's like to be on drugs.
Yeah.
So he gets a call from his friend. He wants some drugs, of course. And he decides, all right, I'll meet you at this place called The Void. It's a bar. So I think he calls his French friend, right, and asks him to go with him.
Yep.
He goes with him, and then the whole time, in the beginning, he shows his sister's talking to him about this book of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and it's about like their whole belief in reincarnation.
Yep.
So of course, conveniently, while he's walking, his French friend explains to him how their reincarnation works. He tells him about how when you die, you get to like see all this stuff in your life, and then you eventually pick a person to be reincarnated as. So as they're going, he goes to the bar. It turns out it's a setup for a police sting. I guess his friend set him up. He goes into the bathroom with all his drugs and tries to flush him down the toilet, but the toilet won't flush. So then, like, for some reason, he decides to tell the police he has a gun and he's going to shoot them through the door.
Probably not his smartest.
Yeah,
not his brightest
I really
moment.
didn't understand why he did that. I guess he was desperate. So they shoot him through the door, which I don't think is standard police procedure.
I'm pretty sure that's not allowed either.
He dies.
Anything goes on the streets of Tokyo.
So
at the Void.
He falls to his death. It's in first person to begin with, and then eventually, like, he lays there and dies for a while. It leaves his spirit leaves his body, and the camera rises above it. There's a bunch of flashing lights again, and then the next part of the movie, we follow his spirit as he basically sees like the aftermath of his death.
Yeah.
So first, we go and see his sister, who is a stripper.
Well, first it replays his whole life from the beginning, right? It shows.
I thought it went. I went to the stripper first, and then it went into his life.
This movie gets.
It was pretty hard.
This movie gets very jumbled after he dies.
There's a lot of repetition and
a lot of non-linear stuff happening. It just flashes to a bunch of different portions of his life, and then.
But basically, like, it shows his sister finding out he died, and then I think it's after it goes to his childhood.
Yeah.
And we follow him from childhood. We find out that he loved to breastfeed. That comes up all the time.
Yeah, it's
There's a lot of scenes of him as a kid with his sister. He's very close with his sister, a little too close. No, not just a little bit.
very close.
There's a lot of scenes of them all bathing together.
Yeah, a lot of bathing
sister and the
scenes.
kid.
Anyway, goes through his childhood. You find out his parents died in a car accident, and then he got split up from his sister in separate foster homes. So then it comes back to Tokyo, where he just got there, and he's like, I want to bring my sister to Tokyo. And he's like, his friend's like, well, okay, well, you should do that. Then he gets into drug dealing. The drug dealer is like a gay rapist, basically.
Yeah, he's not a good guy.
He's not a good guy.
Likes boys.
Yeah, he always has like a drugged out Japanese boy.
There's always like a half unconscious
Yeah,
guy
that-
like lying
yeah.
naked next
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
him
that
throughout
guy's
the whole
always
thing.
just laying there, comatose. Not a good existence.
Keeps going through his life showing how he got set up in Tokyo. Basically, he has a British friend who helps him get into drug dealing. I think he gives him the money to get started. And he has sex with his British friend's mom, of course. Keeps going. Then later, it catches up to right when he died. And before that, we find out that he, for some reason, went to his British friend's apartment and started like touching the mom right in front of the family. So it made it obvious what they were doing.
Yeah, that was like a sting. It seemed like a sting there. He's touching the mom, and the son and the dad just pop out from behind the fridge.
Yeah, they were like right there.
Yeah. It's like Chris Hansen
what
or
is the
something.
friend's name? Do we know?
Victor.
Victor, Victor. And so Victor decides to set him up, I guess. I think it was a setup.
Yeah.
So then he goes to the club again, gets shot again, shows it again. Then it shows like the aftermath even more so. Basically like shows Victor like try to make up with his sister and she wants none of it. It shows the sister get pregnant and have an abortion on camera. Very graphic.
Yeah, very graphic.
It shows the sister and his friend basically who were liking each other. They decide to hook up and become a couple. So okay. So the last like 30 minutes of this movie are just like graphic sex scenes.
Yeah,
They go to this love hotel.
They go to the Love Hotel, yeah.
I know this plot synopsis is just it's not going well.
I mean, that's pretty much.
Yeah, like I said,
that's
Yeah, basically, like, all right, like I said, it goes through his life, and it's always like either a third person, like right behind him, or it's his spirit going around seeing things that happen. And then at the end, he goes to this hotel, sees people having sex everywhere, and I think he's supposed to be picking the person he's going to reincarnate as, and he decides to reincarnate as his sister and his friend's child.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of the movie.
That is the end of the movie.
So there's a lot to talk about here. A lot of themes.
A lot of themes going on. Yeah, there's it may sound out there, but that is exactly what happens in this movie, what was just described. So definitely worth well, I shouldn't say definitely, but it's worth checking out, I suppose. Yeah. But so what'd you boys think of this movie? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Did you
That's a good question.
I'm gonna say that I liked the first half of it a decent amount. Second half, not so much. I liked what they did with the visuals. I thought the cinematography was really good. But I really think it started to drag near the end, especially the end where they're all having sex, and it's so long.
Yeah, it did end up being really long. I mean, the movie's runtime was like
it was like
2 hours and 40 minutes or something like that. And
I felt every minute of it.
The whole second half really started. Also, they re-showed his life
a
few too many times. Like, I feel like I could have gotten it with.
They showed the car accident scene like 4 times.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes in this movie that are really on the nose, and they just have to show you things so many different times. Like I swear, if I had to see another shot of that car accident followed by his like bloodied mom laying there, like I mean, so many times there would just be. He'd be having some emotional experience in his life, or going down a roller coaster or something with his sister, and then suddenly it flashes immediately to the car accident.
I almost feel like that car accident became like a jump scare in
this
movie. Like they would just pop
really
it out at you at random times, and it became a little annoying. Actually.
Yeah, it did.
The other thing it came back to all the time was the breastfeeding.
It did that a lot.
There was like some Freudian thing going on where.
Well, I think you could spend a whole conversation right now about the Freudian themes.
Yeah, but first I want to talk about the breastfeeding.
Okay.
Because first he has a conversation with a French dude about how breastfeeding was his best memory. I don't know how you can remember that. You're supposed to be done before you form memories.
Maybe he was doing it a little bit longer than the average person.
Like his best memories are like sucking on his mom's nipple and Then there's like when he's having sex with Victor's mom, it randomly just cuts to him as a baby breastfeeding.
Yeah.
There's lots of scenes in the bathtub breastfeeding, on the plane breastfeeding. It's
Yeah,
just constantly.
He's a man that likes to be nurtured.
Yeah.
that's for
All
sure.
the time. It's going back to the breastfeeding thing. Like that's why they like to suck on boobs because breastfeeding.
I feel like, and it's every character in this movie. Like every sex scene, it feels like the guy just immediately starts sucking on there. Like that Japanese
baby.
guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is like one of the main themes that they tried to go into with. Like every single character every single one was like a weird mix of sex and nurturing.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, there was like at the end. I think he was like when he goes into like the actual. Sometimes he goes into people's heads to like experience what they're experiencing. And the British couple, Victor's mom and dad, are having sex, and he goes into the dad's head, and then it becomes his mom. Like he's having sex with his mom.
Yeah.
There's some Oedipus crap.
Guess he went in that British guy's head and been like, I've been here.
Yeah. This isn't enough for
Been
me.
there, done that.
I gotta mix it up a little with my mom.
Oh man. I did love the visuals. I thought the visuals were really good.
Yeah.
Especially in the first half of the movie. Some of those tracking shots through
it was really
that
great.
one tracking shot through Tokyo where he's talking to his French
in the
friend was a
beginning.
really
that
cool
was really
shot,
impressive.
just with the neon lights and everything. And I think as it went on, especially the last hour or so of the movie, Gaspar got a little cute with the downward tracking shot into certain lights and stuff, and
Like they did it into the stove.
into the stove. They do it in lamps and
into the fetus.
into the
Yeah, there's a very graphic abortion scene in this, and they show the fetus in a little pan, and then they go out, and then they go back into it, and then go all the way into it. Like they zoom all the way in and into a new shot. It's ridiculous. It's just shock value.
Yeah, and that's the constant struggle with this movie is perceived meaning versus shock value, because it's I think a lot of times he wants to be meaning something when really he's just showing you something.
Yeah, like here's
intense.
Here's how an abortion goes.
Yeah.
Hope you wanted to see that.
Yeah, dude, we had to see it. Yeah, and they would use that shot a lot in the second half that got really old, where it would zoom upward and then go throughout the city, and it just that really started to wear on me after a while. So I thought the visuals were great. Definitely, probably the highlight of the movie for me, but they do get a little gratuitous. As it goes on.
I did really enjoy the design of Tokyo itself.
Oh,
it was like a psychedelic, just like display of lights and colors. They got increasingly so. I mean, the amount of psychedelic light show towards the end got so ridiculous it was almost difficult to look at the screen. But they did that at the beginning too.
Yeah, a quick warning to everyone out there: if you have, we should have mentioned this earlier.
Yeah.
If you have epilepsy, do not watch this movie.
Do
not watch this.
I just
movie.
want to talk about the opening credits. The opening credits are the most obnoxious thing I have ever seen. It's just flashing bright lights constantly with like big words on the screen,
and the text was changing so fast you couldn't even read it.
And I mean, the credits last like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Like it's just like assaulting your senses.
Yeah, with just this blaring bass in the background.
In your face, like I can't imagine sitting in a theater. I'll just be like puking or something.
That would be
it's like torturing like detainees or something.
And then of course you have the couple of times when it just becomes a white screen.
Yeah.
It's just strobing just barely visibly. It really is clearly just designed to make you uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And be painful.
Especially in the end when they're going through, it's called the Love Hotel. I don't think this is even happening now that in retrospect.
Yeah, we'll have to get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
I'm a little foggy on that.
It's playing this music that is just awful. It's just like so unsettling.
Yeah, it's just like this hypnotic, uncomfortable synth music. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Oh, this is a good scene here.
Yeah, the
little club scene in Blade 2. Sorry for the brief
I
interruption.
got his facial tattoo.
Yeah, they've got a good face tattoo there. Oh, here's Blade. He's in the.
He sticks out like a sore
He just
thumb.
rolls right through that club.
What if
Like,
Blade-
everyone just dances around him. No one dares.
Oh,
touch
yeah, he's
Blade.
smiling. Oh, there we go. All right, so back to this. Yeah, I thought there were definitely a lot of moments of self-indulgence in this movie.
Especially, I think, when he died and it went up into the ceiling and just showed the lights again. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
There's also, like, this major theme in the movie with drugs. He's a drug dealer. And he's always asking his dealer for DMT, which is what he smokes in the beginning. And I think the whole idea is at first is you think maybe that this is all one long trip on DMT. Because that's what it's supposed to do, make time seem like lasting forever.
Yeah.
But at the end, it's pretty obvious that it all happened, and he's being reincarnated as his sister's son.
Well, I wouldn't say that's necessarily for sure.
And not for sure, but I don't think it was meant to be that ambiguous, really.
I mean, I wouldn't say it was ambiguous, but I think it was supposed to basically say that the whole death sequence itself is sort of indistinguishable from a trip. Like the whole Tibetan book was all about like, you know, lifting away from your body and watching things that aren't actually there happen, and that is sort of the whole idea of smoking DMT.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, it's at least supposed to draw a very strong comparison between the two, even if it's supposed to still have literally happened.
Well, and the gap between reality and a trip or whatever. The last 30 minutes of the movie take place in this Love Hotel. It's called Love Hotel. And if you notice, it's pretty much... it replicates that prototype that was in that. Basically, they have a friend who's a drug dealer, and they go over to his house, and he's showing them this prototype of, I guess, Tokyo, and he describes it as like Tokyo on acid, and it's this really he has this you know, maybe 10-foot model of Tokyo that's super like blacklight trippy, and in it there's this Love Hotel. And they describe how they think the Love Hotel is. And then the last 30 minutes of the movie pretty much take place in this tripped out version of Tokyo that this guy's model is. So it's very unclear, but it has characters that are...
All the characters from the movie pretty much are in the Love Hotel, which doesn't make sense.
Well, he does say at one point when he's being showed this little city... One of the times he's looking at the Love Hotel and he's talking about, like, you know, can you imagine just like this whole orgy of like all your friends?
And then that's exactly what happens at the end of the movie. So that's why it's a little even though it seems to be clear what's happened at the end, it's very ambiguous because all of the actions take place in this sort of pseudo reality place.
But remember, at the end of the whole Tibetan reincarnation idea, you're supposed to be able to pick which lifeline looks best to you. So it's just like gathering all of these conception moments together and then putting them in.
Of course, I think the funny thing is that it wasn't all conception moments. They were doing everything.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and so can we talk about why, if he's choosing which life he'd like to go into, why is he picking his sister and his sleazeball friend?
Yeah.
That's
like, that is, first of all, your sister just aborted one fetus that you saw happen. How do you know you're going to pick that one and not, you know, be aborted?
Get aborted
yeah, it's not like she's getting with George Clooney here. She's getting with his, his homeless ne'er-do-well friend.
Well, I think that's when you have to bring up just the biggest theme in this whole thing is just the really weird relationship between him and his sister.
Let's get into it.
Yeah,
there is some weird thing going on.
He has a very strange relationship with his sister from the beginning. I would even argue with his mom, too. Some of the first scenes in the movie are them. It's the sister, he, and his mom bathing together. Just everyone's naked in the bathtub with like the dad watching on. And I mean, I guess some of the first times, I guess they're really like babies, but then it goes, to later. I feel like there's another shot of them where the kid's probably like 7 years old, 6 or 7, and he's bathing with the mom naked, and it's just like, that's a little strange.
It gets a lot sketchier when, like I said, he envisions having sex with his mom, essentially.
Yeah, he does.
There's also the scene where he sees his mom having sex with his dad. I guess that scarred him for life.
And there's the strong hinting that he did in fact have sex with his sister.
Yeah,
in reality, not
this
in
is very,
but in actual real life.
Yeah, not even just the mom. The sister more is the primary. The primary relationship here. That
I mean, it was clear that the sister had like just the most traumatic experience when she was separated from her brother. Like literally screaming and fighting to stay with him. And then all these years later, when he manages to bring her back to Tokyo, she's still super attached to him. I mean, she's like
at first they meet up.
Ear
she's like sucking on his ear and kissing him nonstop, and it looks like they're a couple.
Yeah, it's not sibling kissing either. No. It's suggestive kissing, and also she doesn't seem to have any modesty around her.
No.
She is literally
naked half the time.
She is naked the majority of the time she's around her brother in their little apartment. So it definitely is extremely suggestive in that department.
And then remember that she eventually becomes a stripper, and while he's not too happy about it, he's well aware.
Yeah.
He's in the strip club
Yeah, he
watching
goes in the
her
strip
do
club
her
watching.
dance and talks with the owner of the strip club, who later gives her the baby that she aborts. And they have a weird conversation where he basically says, like, you're jealous of me.
Yeah. There's also the scene when there's a scene where she wakes up as an apartment, or he wakes up, and she's naked. And I almost thought it implied that they just had sex the night before.
Yeah, it
they're,
definitely
both
does. I mean,
naked.
they're both naked, and he kind of just looks around like, whoa, what?
And I think she's like going to cook him breakfast or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's a couple of different shots of her standing there in the kitchen cooking and him just standing there watching her.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
And,
there's
like,
one where she's just got her underwear on. He's just standing there, just enjoying the view,
Yeah.
like in a creepy way.
Yeah.
So that's why I have to say that one, I think, of the main scenes is like the weird way that like a nurture, like a mother son or a father daughter relationship is translated directly into sex, because he is basically her father.
Yeah.
She goes to a country, she doesn't speak a word of the language, has no job, and he basically just takes care of her while she cuddles with that weird teddy bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he goes off to his friend's house and has sex with his mom,
Yeah.
who is a woman that's much older than him.
Yeah.
And then pictures that it's actually his mom
Yeah.
later on.
When he's
When he's like, after
And there's
he's
also
dead.
the scene, like I said, he can go into people's heads when the club owner's having sex with his sister. He goes into the guy's head for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a long scene.
Yeah, he's trying to get the full sensation.
The full
Yeah.
experience, yeah. So I would say that is a very central theme in
Yeah,
this movie.
it's definitely just like every time someone's sucking on boobs, which is always, it always flashes to the mother.
Yeah,
mean,
it's a movie that's drug induced, but I would say it's definitely about sex. I
Yeah.
mean, sex is what's going on in this movie. Like the drugs are more. It's not like a Requiem for a Dream type movie where it has any kind of
doesn't really
anti-
have an anti-drug message.
No,
not at all.
it doesn't really have an anti-drug message in the least, like some of those other movies that you would think of. But even though drugs are a big part of the movie, but yeah, it's definitely got a lot more to say in the sex department, because everybody's getting it on in this
Yeah,
movie.
like I said, there's a love hotel, and everybody in the movie's in there having sex or doing something. Like there's just like some unsimulated stuff going on in there, which is.
Yeah. Can we talk for a second about how incredibly graphic the sex
Yeah,
in this movie was?
I mean, it's unsimulated. It's real sex going on in some of the scenes.
it's like,
Yeah, it has to be. Like,
Yeah, no, there's like unsimulated real sex going on in some of it.
Yeah, it's not like and at first I was trying to like, wait, how are they faking
they
that?
filming that?
They're not. They're not faking that. They're actually doing it. Like,
And I mean, they just have somebody doing everything in there. Like they got all the different.
and that's another
acts.
thing. Yeah, yeah. In this gratuitous scene at the end, every room they go to is a different position or different thing going on too. Like it's I almost wanted there to be like 3 or 4 rooms where they're just doing missionary, but
Yeah.
no, everybody else has got something else going on.
That does remind me real quick of one of my favorite types of shot they did in this, and they did it a lot. Maybe too much, but when he would be drifting in like his spirit form from room to room, and he would just be like, he'd be passing around the city, and it would just show him fly from, like it would show the wall for a second, and then he'd be in the next room, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Like the cinematography in this movie is fantastic.
Yeah.
I do think he started to do that a little much at the end.
Oh yeah, that's
But
all he did at the end.
But I was very cool the way they do it, and it didn't, even though there were some parts that were obviously CG, like I thought the movie looked really good.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
and I know this is an independent movie. I'm not sure what the budget was for it. Let's see if we can figure out what the budget was for this, because it looked really, really
Yeah,
good.
I also really liked the shots in third person. I thought those were really well done.
Yeah.
When it followed him, I thought those.
Yeah,
they had a lot of good transitions with
It's
that.
a really well shot movie, so clearly it's not Gaspar knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
No pun intended. knows what he's doing.
he just he has a lot of things to say, and some of them are pretty stupid.
The total budget was 12.38 million euro.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly what
That's
the
a pretty-
conversion
that's
rate
not
is,
a
but
bad-
that gives you a good idea of.
that's not a bad budget.
This
at all.
movie looks really good for that budget. I mean, that's probably about 20 million.
Yeah,
So for a $20 million movie, I think this looks pretty darn good.
but I also don't think 20 million is. It's not shoestring or anything.
No.
That's,
It's definitely
They
not
probably had what they
shoestring.
needed, I would think.
Yeah.
Especially since the actors, I didn't recognize any of them. Except
Yeah,
for
let's
the-
get into the
acting?
let's get into the performances here. What did you guys think of the performances in the
The
movie?
main character I didn't think his performance was very good at all. I mean, you only see his face like briefly in reflections.
He really
and
didn't
stuff,
give
but
any
his
emotion.
His voice to me, it sounded like he was a kind of amateur actor.
Yeah.
Honestly, he was not.
He almost
very
never
good.
showed any emotion. Really, he just was just kind of like.
Yeah.
And
I
the
feel
sister
like-
was awful.
I feel like everybody seemed pretty amateurish in this movie and acting wise. I almost liked the main guy the best. And
I would say I liked
and I
him.
know he didn't show much emotion, but I felt like he almost grounded things when he was in it. Like everybody else was just too like either annoying or wacky for me to really latch onto. Like I thought the sister was really
She was
rough in
terrible.
this.
Yeah,
I didn't
she
think
was
she.
kinda a
I
little-
thought she was whiny. I thought she was really over.
She was so unlikable.
Very unlikable. Any scene where she had to be upset just seemed like she was acting, I thought.
I mean, I think my favorite performance by far was the French friend.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty
Yeah.
good.
I thought
he
his
pretty
was the
good.
most believable. I mean, he didn't really have any kind of extreme scenes too much, but everything I thought had a subtle, decent amount of acting.
I
Yeah.
will say, he's the only guy in the movie who seemed like he created a character.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and when I say I like the main guy, I don't necessarily think he did a great job acting wise. I just felt like there was a level of authenticity with him.
It felt like
that
you
was
were-
not there with this sister at all.
It felt like you were really following him.
Yeah.
That's what I felt like. It felt like I was really following him around. The sister was just like whiny, mean.
Yeah.
Ugh, she
And
was
I mean, there's
terrible.
really not many other people in the movie. There's his friend Victor, who I mean,
I thought there
Was
was
alright.
one shot where it was after he just saw his friend get shot, where they're dragging him out.
Yeah.
Where it's like the police are wrestling him and he's screaming and thrashing around. I thought that was pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
you kind of only ever see it at a distance from like way overhead.
who was
view.
I thought that was the French guy who was getting.
No, I think that was Victor.
No, that was Victor, the kid with the
Oh,
curly
okay,
hair.
okay, yeah. Where they're dragging him out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right, yeah, that was good. I mean, the parents, I feel like you don't really get
Yeah,
to
the
see 'em.
fathers might as well not be in the movie.
The
Yeah,
fathers.
no, the father. You
That-
only
that's
ever-
interesting, too.
You
The
like see
father's
him
not
sitting
in it.
at the beach a couple of
Yeah.
times, but I don't think he ever says or does anything.
No, the most you see of the father is just their little sex scene. that
Yeah,
he
I mean, the
kids
father
have.
really has no role, which I think is interesting. that
Yeah.
he has no role in this movie, just the mother.
Yeah.
Same thing with
that is kind of another little Freudian moment
Yeah.
there that is pretty good.
same thing with the British with Victor. Like, his father was in the movie, but it was mostly his mother.
They had
Yeah.
another scene where they were all fighting.
Yeah,
that
and-
family, and they were all yelling at each other. which
Yeah,
I
and the
thought was
father is
decent.
presented as,
Basically, like a cuckold.
yeah, basically a cuckold, yeah. Which I guess it's kind of understandable.
Well, that is
Yeah.
very,
In that
very
situation.
true, actually.
Yeah, he was.
He was there.
Yeah.
That is a very reasonable assumption there.
But yeah, I thought the performances were mostly meh, and I guess that's probably what he was going for. Honestly, I mean, it's not a. I don't
not a movie
think
that-
it's a movie that he was trying to cast anybody whose acting presence
Yeah.
is
This
going
is
to.
not a deep character drama.
No,
not
This
at
is
all.
like a psychedelic trip
Yeah.
where the characters are almost background.
Yeah, this was very visual, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I didn't get much meaning out of this either. I thought, to me, it was just more of an immersive, like a hypnotic kind of trip experience.
I mean,
like I didn't. I don't know.
I think it
Other
was
than
mostly-
other than the Freudian stuff, which I think was made pretty
Yeah.
clear, I didn't find myself really digging too deep into this thing.
I mean, I really think the main thing was it was just an allegory for the Book of the Dead. Like,
Yeah.
that was it. It was the Book of the Dead in a movie form. And I mean, beyond that, maybe the only thing I could think is that this whole brother-sister bond was like supposed to be really powerful. Because I mean, he picked his sister when he definitely shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I wouldn't say there was a ton of depth to it, but the plot line of him and his sister being torn apart at a young age and
Yeah.
then coming back together and having a very unhealthy relationship. I mean,
I think-
it is a decent plot line. I'm not going to say it changes how I look at the world, but
I think I would have
was
liked this
interesting.
movie significantly better if I cared more about that relationship between the
Yeah.
brother and the sister. Like,
I don't know if I particularly would have because I feel like it still would have just been
actually,
a
that's
psychedelic
It was
mess.
it's such a creepy relationship that I
Yeah.
think it would have been difficult to make it. Yeah, it's just a creepy relationship from the beginning. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
Honestly, in a lot of ways, I feel like if I cared about any of the characters more, it would just take away from the movie. Or maybe not take away, but it would just change the movie. The best thing about this movie is the fact that it is just this crazy hypnotic trance from beginning to end. And the characters are just kind of like a dream the whole time. They're not even really real people. They're him watching them from some weird altered state, whether it's because he's on drugs or because he's dead. And
that's the script reflects that too. It's very just conversational. Like there, it almost seems like half of it might have been improv. Like just
it wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, especially scenes where they're just walking down Tokyo talking. It's just very like. Just I can see the directors being like, just talk about like, what you guys would be talking about. Like if you're walking down the street, like, it doesn't seem, a lot of it seems unscripted almost. I'm sure they had a script for it, but.
I definitely think that the repetition goes back to that too, that it's like just, some altered state because, the stuff he's seeing doesn't happen in order or sequence. Yeah. It's constantly going back and forth. He has lots of random flashbacks. The same scene happens more than once. So it's, it's just, you're just on a trip and you don't know what's going on. And you don't know what you're seeing, if it's real or not. Because like I said, near the end, we really don't think that the stuff we're seeing is happening.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think there's any chance that all of those characters are actually in a hotel. No, that's definitely a metaphor for him picking. And then, he picks the sister.
Yeah, and it's like, who knows what kind of, self-created afterlife he's in where he decides. Like, it's not as if, he's following... he's totally ingrained in reality there, but I don't know.
Because the French guy also tells him when you die, if you're ready to leave, you leave Earth and go to the afterlife. But most people aren't ready to leave, so they become reincarnated. So that was interesting, too. He wasn't ready to leave.
Yeah. I guess that probably comes back to the reason why he wasn't ready to leave was because he still felt so incredibly drawn to and protective of his sister. And when you think about it, the whole thing is supposed to be a circle, right? So he was basically in this very unhealthy relationship with his mother. And he's going to be, again, in a very unhealthy relationship with his mother, who is also his sister.
It's kind of the circle of life going on there. He's getting back in there with his sister. So.
Yeah, I guess we might have found a little bit of depth. One day he'll break this circle of bad relationships and go on to heaven. Though it doesn't seem like he's going to do it anytime soon.
But not yet. Not yet. So what else we got to say about this thing?
We've covered a lot.
Covered a lot.
There's a lot in this movie.
Yeah, there is. I think it's definitely. Like, I have to, again, I don't know that I liked this movie. I wouldn't go as far as to say that I liked it, but I like that I saw it.
Yeah, and I'm unhappy that I saw it.
I never will watch it again.
No, I'll never watch it again. And I can't imagine. I mean, you probably have to pay me some money to watch it again. but it did feel like it succeeded in what the director was trying to do. So, I mean, for that, you have to kind of appreciate it.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, my final thought on it would be that he set out to make a movie that will make you feel very uncomfortable, sometimes a little confused, and it worked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Visually, thematically, everything about it was pretty uncomfortable and unnerving. And...
yeah. From beginning to end.
Beginning to end. From pretty much the second shot in that movie. Well, actually, from the credits. The credits are incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah, I might get up and leave during those credits.
If I had to watch it again, I would definitely skip through that part.
Yeah, you will get the feeling you get during the credits is pretty much the feeling you have through most of the entire movie. Yeah. So just watch the credits and you'll immediately realize this is something different. This is not, a rom-com that I'm used to seeing on TV. There's a reason why you don't see this movie ever when you're flipping through the channels. And
well, that would probably offer like a legal problem if they could just put it on TV.
That's true.
Somebody would have a seizure.
Yeah.
And sue the company.
Yeah, can you imagine this movie coming on like TBS?
Oh, God.
All right, after Family Guy tonight, it's Enter the Void. Oh man, there have to be some serious warning messages before that started. All right, so any final thoughts, boys, or would you want to put a bow on this thing and rate it?
I think I'm ready to just give it a rating.
Yeah,
all right.
Me too.
Butler, what are you rating it?
I'd rate this like a solid 6 botched abortions out of 10.
6 botched abortions out of... That's a lot of botched abortions. All right. Dave?
I was thinking I'd give it a 5.5 TMT trips out of 10.
Okay.
All right, that's pretty good. I'm going to give this thing I'm going to give this thing a 57.35 out of 10,000. So that's what I'm going to rate this thing.
We all were pretty...
yeah, we're all in the same...
We're in agreement there.
All in the same spot. It's right in the center of the line. It's not a middle-of-the-road movie, but it ends up getting a middle-of-the-road score because it's just so
uneven.
It's so extreme. There's a lot of good things and a lot of really, really bad things.
That's a good way to put it. There's some good things about this movie, and there are some really bad things about this movie. So I would definitely recommend checking it out.
Just don't do it if you're at all squeamish.
Don't do it if you're squeamish. Don't check it out if you're in a depression or you know.
Yeah, pick a night when you're in a pretty good mood.
Pick a time when you're in a good mood. Make sure you're not epileptic. You know, just have, you know, you might have to watch this thing in segments. I know it took me a couple of different viewings to get through the whole thing. Our old man Butler here toughed it out and watched the whole thing beginning to end.
Unfortunately, I was on a bit of a time crunch, so I did watch the entire thing in one sitting. I had to pause it a couple of times to get up, you know, and get something to drink or what have you. Because
did you eat snacks during this thing?
I don't think I ate any snacks. No, I did get up at one point and made a sandwich, but I wasn't like snacking during it. I don't know. That might have been a little hard to do.
Yeah. It's definitely not a movie you want to snack during. I was hungry during points of it, but I just couldn't really eat too much. Like even the scenes that aren't graphic, it's just like gives you a really uneasy feeling that you're not going to want to eat during. So, alrighty. So that's Enter the Void. Check it out if you are up for it.
Or maybe not. We watched it. You don't have to.
Yeah, we watched it. You know, you guys don't have to, but if you want to, go for it. Enter the Void. So, all right, let's move on, boys. So next, we're going to change gears a little bit, get a little bit less serious here, and we're going to talk about some fictional movie fights here, do some who would wins. So our first one is a time-honored classic in our friend Adam's basement here. So this battle has been discussed for years and years now, and we're going to bring it to
probably like 10 years at this point.
Yeah, we've probably been periodically discussing this fight for about 10 years now. And it is Predator versus the Terminator.
The Schwarzenegger Terminator.
The Schwarzenegger. Yeah, it's not the liquid guy. It's the Schwarzenegger Terminator, the T-1000
or the T-800. I think it's the T-800.
Yeah.
I think it's T-1000.
Is T-1000 the liquid guy?
I think that's the liquid, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that is the first fight of the day. So we're going to discuss who we think would win in detail. So
all right,
if you guys
let's open it up.
Oh man, I don't even know where to begin because there's so many points to.
I'm gonna kick it off here and say that I think, and I've always thought, the Predator would win this fight. And I know this has constantly been an unpopular opinion here in this basement, but I just believe the Predator has a certain amount of alien technology that would allow him to prevail in this fight. I mean, just you factor in that highly powerful mounted cannon he has on his shoulder. And I mean, I know the T-800 is a tank and can take a lot of damage, but he's not invincible. I mean, you saw in the movie, like, if a truck gets him, like, that can rip him in half. And he's very, very advanced, but he's not indestructible. So I feel like the Predator could be knocking holes in him with that cannon. And my piece de resistance to this argument, I always think that worst case scenario, the Predator could set that self-destruct button on his wrist and at least make it a draw.
Yeah, to be fair, that wouldn't make it a win. That would just force a draw, which is a very different thing.
I guess that's true, but
I would say my counter-argument to that is that the Predator is even more vulnerable. I mean, we all know full well that the Terminator is gonna get his hands on some really big machine,
like a minigun.
And that's the other thing. Or are we just assuming the Terminator has a gun?
Yeah, we are, because he's gonna get a gun.
He's gonna get a gun.
It's impossible that he won't get a gun.
Yeah, I cannot imagine a situation when he would go through an entire plot line without getting his hands on a lot of big guns. And his heat-seeking vision should be able to pick out the Predator through his cloaking device, and then he would just shoot him. And it would be that
Well,
simple.
here's the thing. I almost think that since the T-800 is from the future, he has like information in his head about stuff he scans, right?
That's
So
true.
I think he's going to scan the Predator, and he's going to see how big of a threat he is, and he's just going to use the biggest gun he can get.
Yeah, I feel like the Predator's going to
Sneak
sneak
would-
up
would
on
he
him,
be able
throw one of those spears at him. It's going to stick in
No,
him.
he wouldn't
and
do
then
the spear.
and then the Predator, then the Terminator's just going to turn around and have a giant minigun, and that's going to be the end of it.
Because we know that's how the Predator fights. He won't use his best stuff until he needs to, and that's going to be his downfall.
Yeah, he's an honorable fighter. This is the hunt. This is supposed to be for the thrill of the hunt, for the honor of it. He wouldn't go all out on what he basically thinks is a slow-moving human.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't think the Predator's playing honorable here, though.
He's always playing honorable.
That's their whole MO. They never don't
Unless we're
play
saying they're
honorable.
bloodlusted, which we're not.
Yeah,
The Terminator, his MO is he does whatever it takes to kill. The Predator is in it for the hunt and the thrill of the game, basically.
Exactly.
I feel like the terrain would matter a lot too, though. I mean, the Terminator. Yeah, something in my mouth. No. I think the terrain would matter too. I mean, does the Terminator have thermal vision?
He does.
Is that what he has?
And he can, like I said, he can also scan people.
Can he scan? Like, would he be able to understand what the Predator's technology is, though? I mean, it's.
I think he would because I think they would have that stuff in the future.
Yeah, he's
they would
Skynet
have
level intelligence here.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think the Predator's.
He might not have him
weaponry is like it would compatible with Skynet.
I feel like
technology.
there's even a chance that Skynet would have knowledge of the Predators active on Earth in the past.
Yeah.
And that would just be in his data files.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a chance he would immediately know what the Predator was.
So we're going in a world here where it's the movies are combined, and and we know what.
I mean, I feel like that makes the most sense because they both take place on Earth.
And I mean, the Predator, I think, will sometimes even take his armor off if he sees that the guy's unarmored. So I don't think the Predator is going to know that he's a freaking tank. He might not take his armor off, but he's not going to know what this thing is capable of. He's going to think it's a human.
Yeah, but I think he would I mean, Predators are smart. I think he would immediately realize when he, his first engaged him and didn't, his blast or whatever didn't floor him that, all right, I'm not dealing with a human here. And he
But
would
the Terminator is going to be on him already, like firing rockets at him, using his minigun.
He's going to be like driving
He's
like
gonna
a
be-
Mack truck and like shooting a machine gun one-handed
can't
out the
assume
window.
he has this many weapons.
He's going to
Like,
be on a chopper with a shotgun.
the Terminator doesn't come with a chopper and a minigun and a
Yes,
rocket.
he does.
No,
he finds
doesn't.
it. He finds it.
He always
finds
finds
it
it.
right away.
I think he's standard with. I'll give you like he has a shotgun or something. Like
No,
that's
no.
what he doesn't come
But
with
he
a mini.
always gets machine guns in every movie.
Yeah, but
That's a feat that we can reliably come
Yeah,
back
I
to.
would say that you see it happen every single time. It's pretty reasonable to think that unless the Terminator can end this fight immediately, he's gonna get his hands on a lot of guns.
Yeah.
He's just gonna kick
How did
down
they
the
kill the
gate
first
to a
Predator?
military. The first Predator?
Yeah, don't they kill him with a log or something?
Well, no, he just sets off the self-destruct.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought he used a trap or something.
Well,
I think he
did.
I think
he like injured him,
him,
and then he
but-
just beat him up in a fist fight.
I mean, that's
Arnold didn't beat him up. The Predator destroyed him in the fist fight.
Have you seen Predator 2?
The one where they're in the city?
Yeah. How did they kill?
I've seen
I don't
it.
remember
I
that.
don't
Do you
remember how they
remember
killed
it,
the
though.
I don't remember how they
I
killed
don't
that
remember
one.
how they killed the
Predator
Predator.
has some-
Danny Glover, like
Yeah.
I think, breaks into like one of their ships or something. I don't remember that though. That
Because I'm trying to think of all the Predator
hold on, I'm going to
feats.
bring up. Oh, let's see how he kills him in the.
Bring that out.
Because the Predator has been, I mean, in Alien vs. Predator, which isn't canon, but I think we can use it. He's not that tough. He gets killed by some easy stuff.
Yeah, they regularly kill him. And I think that like the entire point that the Predator would immediately go full weapons mode on him doesn't have any sense in the canon because he doesn't do that.
Also-
when he's getting suddenly
Yeah.
like shot with arrows and stuff, he doesn't immediately just light the whole
Yeah.
place up from orbit or something. Just because he has the technology, he doesn't normally use it.
Also, in Terminator 3, doesn't the woman have like plasma weapons? Right?
Yeah,
And
she
I mean,
does.
she can't kill Arnold, so.
Yeah, that's true. She
What
has
woman?
high tech. Terminator 3, the girl.
I gotta
She,
remember that one.
You know, she can like make her arm into like a giant.
Yeah, I remember
cannon
that.
Yeah.
like will tear through stuff. Like
Yeah.
it looks just as powerful.
But she's not
if
able to
more-
just kill a Terminator. Instantly.
No, she's definitely not.
So I think that if, going off that feat, I think it would take a heck of a lot for the Predator to kill him.
Yeah.
Now Sam's doing some research here. Trying to figure out how this Predator dies. We need this valuable.
Gonna be going back a couple of years to the last time I saw this movie. That's
It's
for
been
sure.
a while. I specifically remember you and I, Butler, were watching this movie at most of this movie at my parents' house, probably a good 12 years ago.
Yeah, probably.
Upstairs.
And that was probably one of only like 2 times I've ever seen this movie.
I don't remember what this throwing disc is, but somehow...
I remember those.
I think that's really powerful, too. I think that could sever the Terminator.
I don't think it could. I don't think it could.
There's no way that throwing disc would cut through his
I don't know, man.
super
he's
titanium
so
skeleton.
tough in the third movie.
He's so tough. I mean, but the first movie, like, he gets... like pinned to the ground by a truck, and that severs him in half.
But I mean, look at him in the third. He's the same Terminator in the third movie, and he takes so much more punishment.
Well, I mean, it's almost like those are 2 different Terminators.
They're not. But it's the same Terminator.
I think we should
go
go
with T-800.
Yeah,
it's the same model Terminator.
And to be honest, that truck. I mean, what is it? Was it tear his arm off?
I think it tears him in half.
No, but wasn't that after he got like basically napalmed and like, or there was like gasoline or something, and he got super.
Well, they got a grenade
fire.
stuck in him. I mean, honestly, I just feel like the Terminator, the first one, just isn't fair to the Terminator because he's way tougher in the second two.
Well, yeah, because in the second two, he has to fight other Terminators.
Yeah.
So they have to toughen him up quite a bit.
And
but we have to talk about all of his feats put together. We can't just talk about the weakest link, or else we would just talk about Alien versus Predator, where he wouldn't stand a chance.
Yes. Like he gets blown up because he gets a grenade launcher shot stuck in him. Which, I mean, I don't really think the Predator even has it. I mean, he has the plasma cannon.
That thing on his shoulder, man, is much better than grenade.
But I seem to remember a few shots where that thing was firing around. It didn't look like it was doing all that much
damage. Like I said, he fights a Terminator with a plasma cannon for an arm, and he's able to win.
Predator. I'm doing some more research here.
All right.
Predator shoulder cannon.
Well, we got to move on to the next fight. Anyway.
Yeah, we do. Hold on. I just want to see what the... all right, it's called a plasma caster, so let's see what this thing...
Xenopedia.
I want to just mention really quickly that back in the day in like high school, I remember going to the official... Hold on, to the official wikis of all of these characters and looking at the actual... like the actual amount of energy in like kelvins that they could do, and comparing it to his like titanium, his titanium skeleton, and I came to the conclusion that it would not be enough.
Well, I can tell you, there's also a comic, Alien versus Predator versus Terminator, and I can tell you that the Terminator beats everything
because he would
win.
All right, hold on.
It's commonly there.
All right, it's capable of firing charged plasma.
Yeah, but how much damage does it do?
All right. It's ranging. All right, the plasma caster's powers ranging from a minor setting to kill individual prey to a blast powerful enough to breach the hulls of interstellar craft. I mean,
we have never seen that in the movie.
Yeah,
never seen
that. Is definitely like.
Well, that's because he's not using it on the highest setting.
But but they don't even use it against the fucking aliens on that set.
Yeah, why wouldn't he use it on that setting when it was clear that Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to beat him? Why immediately go straight to nuking himself? Why not just atomize Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Because I think at that point Arnold had already done his little trap and hurt
him. So then he immediately shoots Arnold. And turns him into just gas.
Well, I mean, that he wanted to use his self-destruct, and that's again. I think the self-destruct thing would at worst make it a draw.
Unless
he just died.
Yeah,
he has to arm it.
He always has time to arm it.
If Arnold,
he could arm that thing so fast.
What if Arnold blew his arm off?
Just shot him. What if he just takes a bullet right through the head, and then that's it? It's
but he has his armor on. I don't think bullets go through that armor.
Here's what I think it comes down to. I think it comes down to 2 main points. One, that the Predator is going to try and fight this fair, and the Terminator is not. The Terminator goes full force from the beginning. Number 2 is just the inherent killability. It takes 1 shot from a gun to kill the Predator. 1 bullet.
Yeah, Predators
bullet can
die to 1
out.
bullet. Yeah,
I mean, maybe it would take a couple more because they're tough and got armor, but 1 could do it. But it's definitely going to take more than 1 shot to kill the Terminator.
All right,
well, the Terminator just doesn't stop coming.
No, for me, it's coming down to that.
He'll keep coming even when he's just a hand crawling on the ground.
All right, and for me, it's coming down to that interstellar hull breaching plasma cannon,
okay.
and the interstellar hull breaching plasma caster, and the self-destruct nuclear bomb on his wrist.
I bet we could look up some crazy high-tech weapons that the Terminators in the future use or something.
He doesn't get those though.
Of course not.
All right. Well, you know what? nobody changed anybody's mind.
This
So
is inconclusive for sure.
This will live to fight another day, but we'll let the audience, the millions of listeners,
Maybe a
decide.
few years down the line, we'll finally come to a conclusion.
Yeah.
The next fight, I think, is gonna be way more interesting. We don't have like a dog in this one.
Yeah. We also don't have nearly as much, I don't think, advanced knowledge of it.
Yeah, no, this is gonna be a little harder.
So the next fight is we're watching Blade too. So it's Blade versus the Mummy from the Brendan Fraser early 2000s movies. So those two are the ones facing off here. Now I'm trying to think who I'm
definitely picking Blade for this one.
I feel like I would pick the Mummy, and here's why. Because Blade is specifically so good because he's like a part vampire, half vampire who has just like silver weapons that kill the vampires. But that wouldn't do anything against the Mummy.
Yeah, but first of all, in the comics, he's way better than that. I guess we're just using movie Blade. First of all, he definitely has super strength, I think, to some degree. I don't think he's just like...
I just don't know how Blade could kill the Mummy.
Because he would probably figure it out. He's got like a tech guy at his base. So here's the thing. I think that what happened, they would get into a fight, they would stalemate, or Blade would kick his ass but not be able to kill him. He'd call Chris Christopherson on the phone, be like, how do I kill this Mummy? He'd go find some ancient tomes, some Egyptian runes, and be like, all right, here's what you got to do.
But I think that's a stretch because that's not taking the question quite as honestly. Yeah, in a Blade movie, Blade would figure it out.
Yeah.
Because the Mummy's a bad guy, he's got that super weakness. But you've got to look at the two characters based on their feats, and the Mummy's feats are way better than Blade's.
Yeah, but Blade is very hard to... I mean, you can't just kill these vampires. You got to use special ways. And he has none of the weakness.
Swarmed by scarab beetles in your sleep or something.
Well, yeah, but they're not going to be... That's not going to be... It's going to be a fight.
Okay. But the mummy has some just otherworldly powers. Like he summons that whole desert full of sand and makes the face out of it. Like he could get the Blade in that. And what else can he do? What else can the Mummy do? He can. Couldn't the Mummy just suck? Remember when he kills all those guys by just sucking the life out of them?
I don't think that would work.
I feel like we need to. Well, yeah, because he's half vampire. He's probably immune to that thing. But we have to also remember that the Mummy gets more powerful as time goes on. So we have to determine where in this are we talking? Is he just like basically a grandiose zombie?
That's also the big question. Is this the Mummy after he's already...
I don't think it should be full strength.
Well, if he was full strength, I don't think that would be a fight. So that's when he's basically mastered death and can take over the world.
So it's when he's still the Mummy.
Yeah.
And not the...
I think relatively early on when he has some of his powers.
But he can't be at his lowest form either, because then all he could do is just punch him.
I think he should have access to some of his powers, but not all of them.
But I mean, the Mummy has super strength too, so I don't even know that Blade would be kicking his ass in a fight.
I think Blade would beat him.
I think the Mummy would be throwing him around too.
The Mummy would be getting some hits in there.
Oh yeah, the Mummy is strong, but I think that Blade, he's so strong. I mean, he definitely has super strength. I don't know how much, but I mean, just to be able to kill the way he does, you would have to be insane strength and endurance.
I think the clincher is that you just cannot kill the Mummy without completing the whole ritual. He's just literally immortal. But how can you kill
Blade? I mean, Blade is basically immortal. He's
not if you the desert consumes him.
Well, yeah.
I mean, then he would just be he might not die. He would just be entombed in a pyramid somewhere for all eternity.
Yeah.
I think it all comes down to whether or not Blade could complete the ritual.
I definitely think he could.
And I think he might have
it basically just comes down to how each of these guys die. Like, how does Blade...
He doesn't have any of the weaknesses that vampires have. He's not weak to sunlight.
How do you kill Blade? Can he just be killed if it's an incredible amount of...
I mean, I'm assuming if you beat him bad enough, he'll die. But I mean, he doesn't die from bullets.
But he doesn't have a gimmick way to kill him.
No, he doesn't have any weakness really.
Okay.
And he's immortal.
It's because he's a good guy.
Well, no, but I mean that's the thing though. He's half vampire, so he literally didn't get their weaknesses. He got their strengths.
I know. I'm just saying that the Mummy has an obvious weakness because it's a plot.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you put them on equal terms, there'd be just as good of a chance that the Mummy would read some ancient tome about how to kill half vampires.
Well, I think that you could just kill him with enough. I mean, I think if you tore him to pieces, he would die.
I mean, the Mummy would probably be like, "Oh, you're a half vampire." I remember when your race used to walk in the night all the time, and I just used my magical enchantment to turn you into
He would just call up his buddies in hell to help him. I've got a half vampire.
I got a half vampire problem here. Can you help me out, please?
This is a tough one, though.
I'm gonna go with Blade.
I'm going with the Mummy.
I just think his combat. I mean, he does some amazing stuff in his fights. The Mummy lost to like a bunch of clowns. Basically.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I will give Blade one thing, and that he is definitely a lot better fighter than like Brendan Fraser.
And he is going to take this fight very seriously right from the beginning. I mean, he has like shotguns and just.
But it's not the Blade. Blade at the same time, come well armed. Yeah. If Blade walked into that tomb and the Mummy came out, Blade would be ready to go. He would have like his throwing discs and like. I mean, he would be going for the throat immediately. There is that.
Yeah, I mean, Blade would definitely take the advantage in the fight in terms of like beating him back, but I mean the Mummy is super strong too, and I don't think it's.
I mean, I think Blade is a way better fighter, but
the Mummy has so many.
Have his strength.
The Mummy has so many tricks up his sleeve too. Like he can do so many different things. Like there's that scene where he turns into sand.
Yeah.
Like the Mummy could do so many different things to him.
I don't think the Mummy's. The extent of his powers are ever well defined.
No, that's a problem too.
It's just like he just can do stuff at certain points in the movie. We have no idea if that's all of his power that we see. I guess my final conclusion to that would be if you put him in like a magical coliseum where they had to fight to the death, Blade would lose. Period. He could not win.
I think in that case we would just say. I guess this is a cop-out, but a lot of times people say fight to incapacitation. If one of them is literally immortal, then you'll say fight to incapacitation.
Yeah, but I just think that the Mummy would keep getting back up, and eventually his spells would overwhelm Blade. It would only take one hit.
I mean, I think it would depend. I think if Blade could put him down for a considerable amount of time, I think that would be a win.
I guess maybe that might be considered a victory.
Because, I mean, that's like I said, a lot of times you have a hypothetical fight, you say, if they're like immortal, you just say fight to whoever's incapacitated.
Yeah, but Blade, I don't think, is immortal.
He's not immortal, he's just immortal, like he doesn't age or anything. Like, I'm pretty sure if you beat Blade...
He's not invincible, he's immortal but not invincible.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can beat him.
The Mummy is kind of invincible.
Kind of.
It's also...
He never fought anybody like Blade.
That's true.
Can the Mummy directly summon all of these plagues, too? Like, I mean, could he,
Well, would the plagues have any effect on vampires?
I don't know.
But, I mean, imagine if the Mummy could, remember, look at those horde of locusts. Like, those would
literally eat him until he was a skeleton.
I feel like he would have like he has grenades and stuff. I feel like he would be able to deal with that stuff.
I don't think he could deal with a horde of locusts.
He summons so many locusts in that movie. I mean, the grenades wouldn't even matter.
I guess he would just have to get the Mummy before that happened, which I think he could.
And I don't think he has the firepower to take down the Mummy.
That's true.
Now, I mean, not at least that quickly. Yeah. Not before there was if the Mummy sat there and took it, but the Mummy ain't gonna be sitting there and taking it.
No. This is a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, I think in a straight up in the Coliseum, maybe Blade would lose, but I think if Blade was like out to kill the Mummy and the Mummy knew he was coming, then Blade would win.
All right,
that's probably because Blade would definitely be able to dodge all those problems faster than the main characters in the Mummy. Or spend half the time just.
Yeah, I mean they are able to beat him, and they're garbage, and Blade is a superhuman killing machine.
You also have to figure though those characters are conveniently located in Cairo, where all of this crap is.
Like, it's not like Blade would go there. Like, I feel like
Blade would go there, and the Mummy would summon the whole desert up to eat him. Like before he got there,
he would do that, and then Blade would like ninja jump into the tomb or something.
He might do
that. I feel like.
That doesn't seem
very up in the air if they're allowed to fight in the world where the Mummy can be beaten.
Yeah, this is a fun one to talk about, but it's a really hard one to come to a conclusion on. So I'm still going Mummy, but it is a tough.
I'm going Blade.
I'm sticking with Mummy for the end, but I will say that Blade would give him an interesting fight.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, that was good. Yeah. So finally, as we come to a conclusion here, it is about 3:30 in the morning our time, Eastern Standard Time. We're just gonna talk about we were kind of spitballing earlier and just talking about show ideas. We come up with all kinds of wacky ideas down here in this basement when we're in our free space here. So we were talking about just if we lived in a dream world where we had our own production studio, what we'd do with all of our money. And one of our ideas, we'd like to make a very serious
political drama.
A very serious political drama a la House of Cards, and have it on the air for about 5 seasons and come up with really interesting, intricate plots and, characters backstabbing each other and, really well-acted scenes. And then just literally in like the 5th or 6th season, just
4 episodes deep.
4 episodes into the season, we just take a total U-turn on the whole series and just have like just have like a giant hot dog invade the city and just destroy everything.
Or a clown.
Or a clown. We also were talking, just have a random clown be given gorilla steroids. And then that clown is turned into just a 500-foot tall killing machine.
Basically, it would be incredibly fun to have like a sci-fi channel original type villain just appear on stage in the middle of a very, very, very realistic political drama.
Yeah,
and
like House of Cards.
And we have to emphasize that this would be well acted. There would be no hint of this coming.
Oh yeah, no, there would be no foreshadowing at all.
It would literally, like, the episode before would just show previews for other events next week. And then literally they're just halfway through this episode and the characters are talking about making a move in Congress, and then they just look out the window and there's a clown on gorilla steroids just knocking down the whole city, and that becomes priority number one.
And they got to deal with it.
And they have to deal with it.
It would keep the same plot line, not the same plot line, but the same method of plot lines. They'd still be backstabbing each other for political gain. They would still be like cheating on each other with each other's
But one of the central storylines becomes them combating this clown.
Constantly be dealing with the fact that this
and they would just
clown there would be rampaging through the city.
There'd be scenes where the main guy is just talking to his family at breakfast like, I got this gorilla steroid clown to deal with, honey. It's that's priority number one at this point.
And then like main characters just randomly get eaten by the clown. Gorilla steroids.
No character would be safe. It would be like Game of Thrones. Well, not even. I'd say it would be more than that. It would just be like very central characters would die completely unnecessarily at random times. Like they would be sitting there about to give a speech in Congress, and then suddenly the clown would just bust through the wall, tear him apart, and then just run out again. And that would be the end of it.
They would just be utter chaos throughout the second half of the season, where this clown is just running rampant through the city.
I think a fun idea would then be for them to finally deal with this problem, and then the next season would carry on entirely like normal, and see what people would do. But people would
and the next season is back
for
this
to happen, but it wouldn't happen.
Or
at least for a couple more seasons.
There would be like very tiny references, but that's it. Like they're rebuilding some stuff. That's it.
Like at one point, the guy would be like trying to get a bill passed and like leverage it by like cutting the amount of spending on the memorial to all the people killed by the mutant clown the year before. And that's it. That's
or a character would be like having a dream one episode. Like they didn't mention it all, and he'd be having a dream like gorilla clown clown on steroids. And he wakes up in a cold sweat, but that's all that's mentioned.
But then he immediately goes off and does political stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
with deals with like
the whole thing that happened that day.
So it would literally just be like half of a season was spent on this crisis, and then it goes back to normal.
It would be fun to see if people would stick with the show.
Yeah, I don't know how many. I think you'd gain a lot of new audience.
You would gain a lot of people for that second half, and then, but like when the next season started, and there doesn't seem to be any that happening again, would people just join back up on the show like? Nothing's changed, because it hasn't. The same show they enjoyed is still there.
Yeah,
it's just there was these couple of episodes last
There were
season.
5 or 6 episodes where a crisis happened, and it had to be dealt with.
It was just happened to be a clown on gorilla steroids.
Oh man, that'd be so good. If only there was a world where we had enough money to make these
such
movies.
A show.
You should all just donate to our show somehow. I don't know how, but we'll just donate.
Put up a Kickstarter.
Send us some money.
Just send us money, and we will make this happen, because we know you guys want to see this. So, all right, boys. I think that covers a pretty good episode today. So, thank you to all of our millions of listeners. Make sure to follow us on Facebook for Serious Film Critics. We also have a Twitter account. You can find us at serious_critics. We're sometimes posting on there. Cool stuff.
We'll post more.
We'll post more. We have a Tumblr page as well. So make sure to check that out. And that is about it. Take it easy, everyone. We will see you next time.